What is up, YouTube? This is full stack web dev journey here, coming with my first video. Got a little late into the game. I meant to upload this video way earlier in my journey at Lambda. So I'm 2 months in. I just got done with our second build week, and I'll get more into that as I go along. But pretty much we've just completed the second month or the second unit of curriculum at Lambda, which was learning to use React, state management, and advanced state management. Next unit, we are going to actually be learning more advanced React. So we're going to be using the use selector, the use dispatch, Axios with authorization tokens, stuff like that, to learn how to connect all the points from the front end to the back end, using private routes instead of just regular routes, stuff of that nature. We actually get a week break for Thanksgiving, so that is well welcomed because let me see here. I have to look at my calendar real quick. Of course, this is my time, so class starts at 11, and you have an hour of prep. So you watch videos and you do some code alongs for an hour before the guided lecture, where you get familiar with the material you're going to be learning for the day, get a little intro in and get your feet wet, get some grasp on some concepts maybe they can't go over in the guided lecture. From there, pretty much you wind up going and spending from 12 to 2 doing a guided project in the lecture. So you have your instructor. They're going to go and talk about some key things. You're going to follow and do a code along on the project they have set up in Code Sandbox and CodePen. Because when we first started, we started using CodePen for the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript. And then once we got into React, we switched to Code Sandbox because it was just a little bit better at handling what React does. Once I get done there, I have lunch from 2 to 3. So I go and I eat, I relax, watch some Netflix, play some video games, whatever, just to kind of decompress everything that's happened through the day, absorb the knowledge, and not fry my brain. From 3 to 7, I have a project that's not guided. So essentially it goes over what we learned during the day, and we go and do that stuff and make sure that we have a firm understanding in what we learned that day. So they have different objectives, and I can show some of those projects here a little bit later, and we upload them to GitHub, and we add our TL, which is our team leader or project manager, whatever you want to call it, as a collaborator, have them review the code. Once it's reviewed, they merge it to master, and it's complete. They have 1 star. They do a 3-star rating. So 1 star means you did not meet expectations or the standard, which means you don't have a good grasp on the fundamentals or the concept of what you've been taught that day. 2-star means that you made a minimal valuable product, or MVP, which means that you were to the standard, you were able to achieve MVP, and you understand the material that you've been taught. 3 stars is exceeds expectations. So they normally have little stretch tasks or stretch goals that are a little bit more advanced than maybe what you learned in class, or they didn't even cover it, and you have to go and do it yourself. Like, you have to do your own research, find the documentation, figure out how to implement it, and implement it. And if you do that, you get 3 stars because you went above and beyond what they expect you to do. It's always nice to get 3 stars. So you do that Monday through Thursday. They have 4 different classes throughout the week, and then they have 3 different weeks that teach 3 different things. So we're going into advanced React. So if I pull that stuff up, let's see exactly what advanced React will be. So they call it Unit 3 Web Applications 2. And so we have Advanced React for the first week, Advanced State Management for the second week, and Advanced Web Applications for the third week. And then the fourth week, which will be the end of the month, is our Web 3 unit build. And a unit build is where you get with a team. You know, you sign up for projects that you're interested in working. You pick 6 different ones. They have international teams, they have EU only teams, they have US only teams, and it has a description of how this task, this app or application, website, whatever you decide, because they have all sorts of different things. They have mobile apps, websites, data science apps, but you can come together with a group of students. So when you do your first web unit build, you'll be in charge of doing a landing page for marketing. So you'll use HTML and CSS or less to make a landing page. What I just got done doing in React, our Web Applications 1, was form management and doing API calls using Axios.get to get the API from the back end. So we had 2 front end developers that did form registrations and a couple of different pages that did Axios get calls. And then we had a React 2 dev that set up the private routes, the authorization links and stuff like that of that nature. And then we had our, beginning students build a landing page for it that when they click the call to action button, it would take you to the front end React page that we built. And then we had back end devs that made the back end part of the database. I think they use SQLite or SQLite, whatever you want to call it. They may have used MySQL. Not 100% sure on that. I haven't got that far. And then you have a project manager who's a team lead. He holds morning stand-up meetings just to go and get a feel and a progress, make sure there's no hiccups, no one's struggling. If so, spending the time to go and help that person get over the roadblock, because he knows it all. He knows from front end to back end. He's a full stack web developer. Sometimes you get UX designers. Sometimes if you do a mobile thing, you'll get a mobile iOS or Android developer. If you do a data science thing, you'll get a data science student. And so it takes everyone that's on this different tracks and different roads and combines you into an actual development team. And you build this web application. And they have a Shark Tank Day where you go in front of sharks and present your project and try to get bragging rights and stuff. It's pretty cool. So I've done 2. I did my landing page for a Airbnb price optimizer, which essentially was a data science project. So I just made a landing page, didn't do much, just some HTML and less, where I made a landing page, and once they went to the front end of it or the React end of it, they could sign up, register Airbnb house in Berlin, and it would use the data science end and the machine learning algorithm that they implemented to web scrape previous Airbnb data to go and show the optimal price that lists their Airbnb listing for, so they could make the maximum amount of money but still be competitive in the market. So that was a cool project to work on. Then this one, I worked on Tippies. So Tippies was essentially, we made an app where a customer could make an account. They could find the service worker that they waited, whatever it is, bellhop, waiter, busboy, whatever. You can tip them directly instead of doing a cash tip or having the employer tip them out or whatever, using PayPal, Stripe, Venmo, or something like that. And so I was in charge of the registration form. So I made a registration form that would decide if you're a customer or if you're a service worker, and then from there you could go into the service worker field, put in how many months you've been at the job, a tagline, a little bit of info about yourself, your name. You have a username and all that stuff, and it would display your card that the customer could find, a picture of you, with the card, and then have a tip functionality button that when you add tip, it would add however many dollars they tipped you. So that was a pretty cool project as well. Now that I took the long story around here, let's get back into what I was talking about. So advanced React. So this will be my first week. All right, so they're going to teach us class components. The React, so Monday would be class components. Tuesday would be the React lifecycle. Wednesday would be composing and sharing non-visual behavior. Then Thursday, we learn about testing web applications. And then on Friday, you have an exam. So from 11 to 2, you have that many hours, which I think is 3, to go and complete a full project by yourself. You can reach out to your TL for help and stuff, but you can't pair program with other coders. It's all by yourself. And it's to test your knowledge that you learn through the week to make a functional app or website or whatever that does all the core things that you learn throughout the week to make sure you retain the knowledge. You need to at least get a 2 and achieve MVP to go into the next week. If you get a 1, no biggie. You go and they sign you up for what they call TL support hours. And essentially what they do there is it's like being tutored. You get 2 or 3 extra hours of being tutored where a TL will individually look at the problem that you're having, go over it with you, guide you to the answer there, and help you understand and grasp why it's doing what it's doing, to really concrete that knowledge to make sure you know it, which is very, very helpful. And it's very, very great. And then I appreciate it. Then you go into your week 2 or your week 3 or whatever, because you can get a 1 in any of these sprint challenges because essentially it's 4 days of different themed classes and then a Friday exam. If you get 2 1s, 2 1s on a sprint, you flex back, which means you go to the beginning of the month. So if you were in week 3 of advanced web applications and you got a 1 on advanced React and a 1 on advanced web applications, they would flex you back to another cohort that is just coming into advanced React and you would redo it. They're hoping that by doing that, for 1, you get exposed to the material more, you get a refresher, and instead of now trying to work from scratch, maybe now whatever that problem was that was holding you up before, you're able to now, instead of having to work from scratch, you got that project time from 3 to 7 to go and fix that and do stretch goals to further cement. There we go. I'm really horrible at speaking right now, but further cement your knowledge. That way it just sits better, and then hopefully by the time you go there, you'll go and be able to pass the sprint. I think you can flex 2 or 3 times before they have an actual discussion of, hey, maybe this isn't for you. But they're very forgiving, and they do everything they can to make sure you actually do know it and understand it and have a chance to succeed, which is really great. So then so I passed my week 1. Week 2, it looks like it's advanced state management, context API, the reducer pattern, getting into Redux, sync Redux, and then sprint challenge, state management, making a Smurf API. And then it gets into advanced web applications here, where we do testing React, client-side authentication, so making those JSON tokens and stuff with your React app that will communicate with the backend authorization token to make sure that when a person logs in, they are who they say they are. Then you learn about deploying your web apps, and then some HTTP and AJAX stuff, where you use put request and delete request. And then another sprint challenge. Then you're at the end of the month now. You go into your build week. I have a rubric here, and it tells you what your primary role is. So it says your skills. So your primary role is the web application architect. It will use your skills and to be responsible for the front-end architect of the project. You'll work directly with your back-end developer, your UI developers, and your other React developers to ensure that all React components are wired up in the proper fashion. Then they have a rubric that you would go over, and it has, your React application. So React application is deployed and the static landing page is correctly incorporated with the app. And then another thing that you need to hit is your HTTP and your AJAX. So your CRUD operations drive the application. Each participating student individually created pages that complete all CRUD operations. Token authentication is handled correctly. Then state management. The student has implemented a state management system that makes sense for the project. It's well organized and implemented correctly. State is not lost as the user goes through the application. And then they have some other teamwork assessment things that, hey, you were able to get all your MVPs for the team, and you contributed to the team. You were a team player. You didn't just sit back and let all your React 1 or all your UI or all your backend developers handle your assignment. You put in your best effort and worked well as a team to get your project or your end of the project done. So it's really, really good. These build weeks submit your knowledge on top of giving you a little dose of what it's like to work in a team and how it works and how to hold meetings and organize stuff. And we use a Trello board to keep track of what's going on and when it's going on and who's doing what. And we have Zoom meetings and stuff to go and talk and be like, hey, backend, what is your data table going to look like? So I can go and know what I need to form my data body for. So when I go and do my post request or my put request or my get request or whatever, I'm requesting the right stuff. Hey, UI, how's it going to look? Where's your buttons going to be? What's the color scheme? Essential, essence of stuff. And then React ones, it's like, hey, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Oh, you're going to do this? You're going to do this? All right, well, then I'll do this page to make sure there's no merge conflicts. We're all tackling as much and doing our fair share of the goal, and we're all hitting our MVP from a rubric that is needed. So that is a normal day-to-day life as a Lambda student. I love it. It's very nice. And of course, if you don't know, Lambda is a coding boot camp. And with this coding boot camp, they have two options for payment. It's one of the things that I see now a lot of coding boot camps are doing, but they didn't before, which is that you could rather do the traditional thing where it's $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 upfront to go and attend this 9, 10, 11, 12-month intensive coding boot camp, where you hope you get a job. If you don't, you're out of the 20,000. You hope that you have enough solid skills and portfolio pieces to really demonstrate what you can do to get a job. At the end of the day, hey, they got their money. What does it matter, right? But then they also have an income share agreement. This income share agreement works hand in hand with the upfront payment as well in certain aspects. But essentially what it does is you sign up and you say, I agree for 2 years that it's a 5-year contract, but if you land a job in the tech-related field with the skills Lambda gave you, making over at least $50,000 a year. So if anytime you go below $50,000 a year, you change a job, you get fired, whatever, they don't take it from you. So maybe you get laid off from a startup and you have to go and bag groceries. They're not going to go and take your income from bagging groceries, which is nice. So that's one of those back guarantees that, hey, we did our job. You're making the money that we promised. You got a job that we promised to get you and give you the skills to get, which comes in on your part. You have to do the interviews. You have to do your work to get it. But when you start making that 50, 60, 70, 80,000, whatever, they take 17% of your gross income. But the caveat to that is it's for 2 years. or not to exceed 30,000. So what that means is essentially that if you made a $50,000 job a year and they took their 17%, that at the end of 2 years you'd probably pay around 20,000. If you made more, so if you're, maybe you're a React developer, you just take that one little portion there that you learned from Lambda, you become a React front-end developer. In my area, they're paying $96,000 a year. So they're going to take a bigger chunk, but they're not going to take more than 30,000, and it's going to be paid off faster. So yeah, I pay $10,000 more than the person that is going, the person that's making less than me, but I get it done faster. That by the time I get my pay increases and stuff, it'll all be my money, in a sense, taxes and stuff, but it'll be my money. So yes, that is essentially how that works, and that really shakes it up. Because even if you pay the $20,000 up front, if you don't get a job within X amount of time, they give you it all back. There's literally no con to it. And you get a first month free trial. So you're not on the hook for money until you pass your Web Unit 1 build, and then it's a percentage. I think it jumps up to 40%, and then every that you progress through, it goes up another 10% until it reaches 100%. So even if you only go to the third month or whatever, so 40, you'd be liable for 60% of your tuition. And if you became a web React developer, 60% out of your 96,000 that you could possibly make is small change in the big scheme of things. And they have career counselors and student success people and stuff, and they have you working on your LinkedIn, they have you working on cleaning up your social media or making a professional social media and then a personal social media, making sure that people do web searches on you. What are they going to find? How can you clear that up? So you don't look bad when people go and do that, because we're in the tech industry. If you think that the employers are not going to be able to go and use resources to find all your Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever history, you're wrong. They're going to be able to find it. They're going to find your background. They're going to find everything about you. They're going to dig. They have the resources and the ability to find that stuff. So they want to make sure that it all looks good and professional. So when you come in, boom, you look clean. You look like a good candidate. You have a website that you build your own portfolio, and now you're using your web unit builds as projects. So now you have good projects that are solid and demonstrate the skills of UI design, front-end architect, front-end React development, back-end. They even get into Python and C++, I think, maybe C#. They teach you the MERN stack. So they give you all the full stack skills that you need. And that's being a full stack web developer. They have iOS developer, they have Android developer, they have UX design, they have data science. They have some other curriculum that you can get into as well, but it's all about cementing that stuff. And they have weekly projects that you have to do every week, and you turn those in, and you'll get your Lambda endorsement saying, yes, we endorse this student from this boot camp, saying that he has the necessary skills going into this to exceed and perform to expectation. That if you throw him into a project, he can hit it ground running and has familiarity with what you're going to be having him do, or her. But there are females in the tech, and it seems like there's a lot of females at Lambda, which is good. They're starting to get diverse. And I think with how they've got their system set up and stuff, it actually makes the barrier to entry a lot lower now. That gives other people that may not have the ability to get a $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 loan, or even have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 laying around to get in and try to make this career change, this life change here, by learning the very high-end demand skill that is in all encompassing of our lives, from phones to YouTube to Facebook to Twitter to your computer, your laptop. It's all surrounded by code, and you're learning how to do that. And it's just a really great thing. I can't praise Lambda enough for what they're doing and how they're trying to shake it up. I know a lot of people have bad taste in their mouth But for me, I've enjoyed my journey at Lambda so far. Now, with that said, it is not easy, by no means. There's a lot of students there that they're not as lucky as me. I am able to solely focus on being a full-time student here at Lambda, going from 11 a.m. my time till 8 p.m. my time, doing this stuff Monday through Friday without having to worry about having a job and working part-time. That's not a reality for some people. Some people have to do that, which is 40 hours pretty much. You're working a full-time job on top of doing a part-time job, because you're working a full-time job that you're not getting paid for, and then working part-time job because you have bills and food and stuff that has to be put on the table. That can be stressful and mentally draining. And that's another thing. We just partnered up with another tech. It's a mental health. Oh, sorry about that. It's a mental health tech company, I guess is the best way to put it. It's an app, and they give you 6 free sessions for life coaches and 6 free sessions for therapy. And you can do that over a phone call, FaceTime, in office, they accept insurance, all that stuff, to get the mental resources that you need, because burnout is very real in the tech field, and it's very real in the school, because you're working 8 hours a day with a 1 hour break of looking at a computer and just coding away, trying to hit deadlines and making it the best you can to get that MVP day in, day out. Breaks are few and far in between. I'm getting a break for Thanksgiving because it's Thanksgiving week. I'm getting a 2-week break for Christmas break because it's Christmas. If I would have started this in January, I probably wouldn't have any break. Or it's not a spring break or anything like that. I'm going into July. I'll be done July 2020 with my coursework. I wouldn't have a break. I might get a Thanksgiving break just because of how months overlap, but no, I wouldn't, because if I started January, it'd be done in September. So maybe Independence Day off, maybe. So yeah, it's very intensive. It's very hard, and depending on your circumstances and stuff, can dictate how well you're going to succeed at this. With that being said, they do a pre-course. So you would sign up, give them the information. They ask you a couple different questions. Based on that, they'll have you do an interview, and then you do pre-course work. You have to do this pre-course work, which is just an intro into JavaScript, an intro into CSS, and an intro into HTML. They have different tasks for you to do, and they use Replit to go and do this testing to make sure your JavaScript code works and stuff. And there's different JavaScript questions that are randomly generated. Once you pass all that, you have one last thing. I think it's 3 questions. You have 45 minutes, and you have to solve these 3 JavaScript questions. And it is an array of things, a variety of things. It can be a multitude of things. And you're going to have to write these out. It's going to take you looking up and researching the documentation to go and figure out how to implement it. It's going to take time in Stack Overflow, in W3 schools, CSS tricks, whatever you need to do to go and find documentation to find the algorithm or the program or function that you need to write to make it work and do what it needs to do and test that. Once you pass that, you're in the school. They'll give you a start date. They start every month. Somewhere around the beginning of the month, they start every month. They let you select your start date. I actually started mine 3 weeks before my class was going to start up. And let me tell you, it was stressful because you have to have all your pre-course work done and your Lambda challenge done 2 weeks in advance before your class starts. So I had to powerhouse through some stuff that people take a month or 2 to do in a week, essentially. I powerhouse through all of it in a week. I started on a Sunday and I ended on a Sunday. I finished my Lambda challenge on a Sunday. It was very intensive, but I think that it better prepared me compared to having a month in advance and have a little bit more time for the kind of pace that Lambda has and how high demanding it is and how fast everything goes and how intensive it can be. By going and doing that and getting it done in a week, it really prepared me for what a week at Lambda is like. It was very taxing. It was aggravating at times because I'm doing the Lambda challenge. They're asking me questions that I thought I had a good understanding of, and I didn't, and there wasn't anyone there to really help me. It was just myself looking up, how do you flatten an array? How do you sort this? How do you do that? Just tons and tons of questions, trying to find documentation to go and answer whatever question they were asking me to do. Some of them were easier than others, and some of them were harder than others. But I was resourceful enough, which is what really matters. It's good that you can absorb the knowledge and learn the knowledge, but they also want to make sure that when you don't know the knowledge, you know where to go, because that's going to be another big thing as a developer. You're not going to remember everything. There's so much to learn and so much to try to remember that you're not going to remember it all. So what that means is that you're going to have to go to documentation. You're going to have to go to your Mozilla docs, your MDN. You're going to have to go to Stack Overflow. You're going to have to go to these other places and find the answers, because it's not that maybe you don't know it. You maybe just forgot it. So they want to make sure that you have good research and documentation skills as well, that you can read a code that's going to be a template, plug and play it, and understand what does what and how it does it, and get the answer and make it work, and explain how it works and how you got the answer and what does what. With that being said, I guess what I'll do now is I will go to my GitHub. I don't know. We're not gonna go into my GitHub. I guess we'll go into my GitHub for a little bit, just so you can see my repos and stuff. And then we'll go into pulling up my actual VS Code and actually show you some of the projects I've worked on. So let me share this real quick. So right here, my repository count has went way up. It was nowhere near 40. I think I had this one, this, and this. And that was all from doing self-taught stuff, from Udemy and Solo Learn and Nemo, or whatever you call it, and Code Academy and stuff. And so that's all that. This stuff right here, we're not going to go and show that. That was just showing us Git flow, how to use Git, and get the gist of it, because all your stuff is going to be submitted via Git. So it matters. So the first thing they have us do is a user interface using HTML and CSS, and using inline block, I believe is what we had to use for this. So they gave us a design file, said we want it to look exactly like this. You have to use inline block to make it look exactly like that, because they wanted us to understand where it was coming from our forefathers. It may be predecessors. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not a dictionary nor almanac, but I'm going to say forefathers, the developers before us, how they had to do it before CSS Grid, Flexbox, and all this other stuff, how they had to style it, and just get familiar with that challenge. I don't know what that one is. I think that was another guided project working on Git flow. This one right here is using the same thing from user interface, but now doing it with Flexbox. And then this was a sprint challenge, or the exam, where we had to go and do everything we learned through the week with HTML and CSS and make it look like the design file. Here they got into less, and also using the media queries to make it mobile responsive, because as you know, 90% of all traffic, it comes from your phone. It's a tiny little computer that sits in your pocket that just lets you do all sorts of stuff. So of course, a lot of web traffic actually now comes from your phone. So it has to be mobile responsive. It has to look just as good on the desktop and the tablets as it does on the phone. It all matters now. They had us go and get a portfolio template just while we were trying to learn the materials that we needed to make a good looking portfolio site. So we had one already. Then they actually got into pre-processing using less. I think this was a careers assignment where I made a portfolio. Then this was the sprint challenge here where we did advanced CSS using the less preprocessor and everything else to go and match a design file. All right, from there we got into JavaScript. So it's just JavaScript 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we did a JavaScript sprint challenge. From here, this is where I believe we got into React. Using advanced JavaScript, so DOM manipulation here, a React component here, React components here, another modern portfolio piece there, making a calculator, an American football scorecard, using a NASA API to go and retrieve the NASA photo of the day that displays information pulled from that API. Sprint challenge, React Wars, which was making Star Wars cards or something from it, like a Star Wars API that displayed information pulled from the API that you use Axios Get to get from the information. Doing a React router basic nav, so understanding how route and links work. Doing another React router movies that uses an API. Doing applied JavaScript. Then we had to do a team builder, a user onboarding form, and then a sprint challenge for single page apps using a Rick and Morty API that used search functionality on top of GET requests and stuff. You will not see my build projects because they have you join organizations. So there was an Airbnb optimal price. So that's where all that stuff is for that build week. And then tip ease is right here. We just got done with that one today. So we've seen my GitHub. So let's pull up my folders and go into my documents and open it up with VS Code and boost up some live servers for the HTML stuff and npm some development servers for the React stuff. So with that being said, sorry I had to answer my phone. I got a message. All right, so unit 1, user interface and Git. I didn't really word these well, so we'll go into to user interface 2 here, and pull up VS Code file, open folder. Just bear with me here, guys. I apologize. I know it's probably really bland looking at this. Just bear with me here. I'll get it going. Alrighty. So, go live. And this is what we had to do here. Just a very simple web page here. Single page, nothing fancy here. It's just like they gave us the design file. They said that, hey, this is what it is. I don't think it has any functionality actually at all on this part of the project. I know later it goes in between pages, but that's about it. But right here, I don't think, yeah, the get started button doesn't work. Yeah, and then it just goes into ID stuff here. So it's all still on a single page. So then we'll pull up the code here. So this was what the code looked like. So you have your nav here that has the IDs that go to the certain parts of the page, importing your image logo into your header, doing your text for your next to the picture here, your get start button, which it's really a span designed as a button, so it's not an actual button. Then your different sections, because they were all about accessibility. They really wanted to make sure that you understood how important accessibility is nowadays, because there's people that have bad vision or blind or have other physical impairments that they use some kind of device to assist them with navigating the web, and it's very key that you set this up right. If you don't, then that limits the amount of people that can visit your web page, and I've seen it even cause lawsuits. But there's nothing super fancy about this here. There's my index CSS here. There's some of the stylings, how it looks, what we did, and yeah, as you can see, we had to use inline block. It was a pain, but I'm better for it now, and I appreciate Flexbox a lot more because of it. So if we go into our dev tools here, why is it not? Okay, it's good now. I don't know why that 404 error was there. Do an audit. So we'll just run it on a desktop audit here, which is a nice little thing you can do. Just it reads all your code and everything else and tells you score for score how the performance is and everything else and what you could do to make it better. So performance was 100 because let's be honest, it's not a very big intensive code or page that it's going to bog it down. Accessibility was 90, and that's really good. That means that I was using section instead of div, and I was using semantic HTML that gave it meaning for people that are using screen readers and stuff like that. Best practices I could improve on. So let's see, HTTP2. So I guess I'm using HTTP1 instead of a 2. I don't know. And I could do a better part with my aspect ratio of my images. SEO 78, because I don't have meta tags and stuff like that to go and hit it high on Google. I'm not worried about that. I wouldn't want this to go and hit SEO really high. But yeah, just wanted to show that interesting little tool because it can gauge and give you tips on how to make it better. On best practices, there really wasn't much I could do about that. It is what it is. So we'll close that one down now. Bring it up. This. Go into the next project now. So that was UI2. I don't have anything in UI1 because we did that on CodePen because we hadn't learned to Git yet, which I think they're changing now on when they're teaching Git because they weren't teaching Git flow right off the rip. And we are like, hey, you expect us to do Git. This should be one of the things you teach us before anything else, in my honest opinion, and a lot of people's opinion. So here's another, this is the services page. So I don't think any of these work, but this was just getting ready for the services page. Same thing, but now we're using Flexbox for this stuff. So they gave us a design file. They said, hey, this is how we want it to look. You made it look like that. Pretty cut and dry. Same thing. HTML. Yep, you can see they lead to nowhere. same stuff, copy it off of the design file that you had and plug and play and Ipsum Lorem and all that other good stuff. And then your CSS using CSS reset and normalize to make sure you're actually working with a clean page and not using browser defaults. So that's all this is right here, is just zeroing it out to make it sure that it overrides the browser defaults to make sure that you're actually starting with a true clean page. So when you're using your flex and stuff, that it's actually working how it's supposed to work. All right, that's it for that project. So we can go close that down, bring up the next project, which I think is going to be the sprint challenge, which is where we took the previous 2 pages you saw, use Flexbox, and then implement it to where you go between home and the services page. So nothing super fancy, nothing too advanced. So file, open folder. I don't know what that is. I think, no, we'll see, because it's been 2 months now. I've got so much stuff that I don't, yeah, so this was just learning Git flow. So I made a text document that would update to the README, right? I believe it's, yeah, I was learning about using the README and everything else. And yeah, nothing super fancy about that at all. So then we're into the sprint challenge. So this is what we had to make here, using Lorem Ipsum, showing some Flexbox and changing the box colors, making the bottom nav bar. I don't know if any of these actually, oh yeah, so we made an about page using actual words. I don't think products or blog or anything like that. Yeah, none of that works. Pretty cut and dry. I'm not going to show you the code. Nothing interesting to look at. Not something super fancy or high tech or advanced. Very simple CSS and HTML. And my index page and my about page, my get ignore and my image folders, the design file, so you can see what it should look like. All right. So that is unit 1. I think, yeah. Well, no. So that's week 1. Now week 2, where we got into pre-processing. So using less, using the media queries, and then doing the advanced CSS. So I think we started on responsive design 1. So yeah, so that's my CSS. We weren't using less. Index and services page. So doing the same thing here now, just on a bigger scale. Doing a services page. So it looks like it's actually broken since the last time. Since the last time I've worked on this, which is not good. And then I'm not going to use the inspect tool. I guess I'll use the inspect tool just for reference here. So I think I have one at 800. No, about 600. No, all right. I know I have one that's below 500. Yeah, so I'm just showing the mobile responsiveness. I don't know where home's at here. All right, well, we'll just go back. Yeah, I'm doing that. Getting rid of the big image there, the condense on space, collapsing that. and that is mobile responsive. So that's the one way you can do it. And the one thing I guess I gotta, because Lambda doesn't do this, is to keep you on your toes. They do not include this meta tag here. I'll close this up now. I don't need that second view. This meta tag is the all-encompassing thing that makes your mobile responsive site mobilely responsive to the device. You don't have this, you can type in media queries all day long, as much as you like. Not gonna work. Nope, nope, nope. And where do I bet I have them like somewhere way at the bottom for my media queries and stuff. Yep, so at media max 500. Yeah, see, I had an 800. I guess it just didn't change enough. Or maybe I didn't do it to the about page. I don't know. But yeah, I had it for tablet and phone. So yeah, that was that. Now I have a nifty little tool here called Window Resizer. So it takes these right here. You can put custom ones in. So an iPad, that's what it looks like on an iPad. All right, and then that's what it looks like on an iPhone 6. Yes, an iPhone 5. So that's pretty nice. It just resizes your browser to whatever size you need, and it's a lot easier and quicker, and gives you common breakpoints that will let you know. So that's what it looks like there, which kind of extends over the screen because my screen is not that big. And then that big as well. Boom. On a laptop. So it's a nifty tool that you can use instead of using the developer tools. All right, so we'll kill that. And we'll go into our next projects now. Responsive design 2. I don't know what this is either. Oh, this is just a portfolio website. So this was us taking a template and making a website, even though we didn't have much. So this right here was that first UI project that was done on CodePen that I didn't show you from UI 1. That was inline block, that was Flexbox, that was the sprint challenge or the mobile responsive. It's got the GitHub links that you can go, takes you to my GitHub, shows you the code, all that cool stuff. Has a hamburger menu here. So yeah, la-di-da, la-di-da. That was all that was, so we can kill that. And I know that I don't seem super interested about it right now or thrilled. And trust me, when I was doing this, I was super ecstatic about it. I was so proud. I was like, yeah, I did this and did that, and posting all about it and stuff. But now I'm a little bit further into my Lambda career at Lambda, and so a lot of this stuff now is just like, meh, it's cool, but it's real simple. Now, I really do like this one. So this is my index.less file. With less, you can start nesting stuff. It makes it so much easier, including your media queries. I guess I don't have, maybe that's some pre-processing too. No, I have some variables and stuff here. But less and SAS or CSS or SCSS is a godsend. I love it. And preprocessors are king. It makes your work so much easier. It gives you so much more functionality that you can do things with. It's really a great skill, and I'm glad I got to learn it. So yeah, this is my resume here. I don't think it actually goes anywhere. It just takes you to different pages. So my email, my phone number, my Facebook page, my GitHub, my experience, which don't have any, so I just lower from it. I hadn't got to JavaScript yet, so I may want to updating this. My link to my portfolio site, a little bit about me, a picture of me, and all that stuff. And it's not the most like wowing resume at all. It's a digital resume, it's nothing wowing. But I'm hoping that my imported Google text here, or my Google font, with the little game characters like from Nintendo, like Super Nintendo and stuff, would be funny enough to help me stand out. But yeah, it wasn't nothing like super crazy, but it was a lot easier to do all that stuff thanks to less. I will say that. So that was very, very good. Pre-processing too. So let's see what's in here. Yep, so there's my variables. Now we're getting into subfolders, which is standard practice. You're going to have a folder for your variables. You're going to have a folder for your reset. You're going to have a styling folder specifically for your navigation. You're going to have a styling folder for your mixins. You're going to have a styling folder for your main body content, your homepage. You're going to have stuff that's just global that goes everywhere. You're going to have different list folders. So there's a footer folder for my footer, a form. I don't remember making a form, but I'm sure I'll see it. My global styling stuff that just would apply all the way around. My actual specific stuff here. So you see at mobile, and you're like, oh, it doesn't look like a regular media query. That's the power of less. I'm pretty sure, yeah, in my variable here. So when I use at mobile, it says everything at the max width of 500 and below, apply the mobile stylings that are underneath it. Here's some colors that I used. Here's some font color stuff that I did. Here's a mix-in I did that takes in the variable of background color, width, and color. So let me see if I can find a button. It just makes making buttons so much easier. And that may be your job. You're just a button maker. Yeah, right here. So all I had to do is go, and I could have included this in here, but it could have changed, so I didn't want to include that in there. But right here, I put in my background color, I put in the width, and then I put in the text color. And then it took everything else. Oops. So it displayed it in block. It added this margin automatically. It automatically gave it a cursor. Automatically gave it a height of 45 pixels, a font size of 2 rims, a border radius of 10. All I had to do was put in background color, the width, and then the text color. And it did everything else. So it's very reusable. So I can make a million different buttons that all look the same, will have different background color, different width, and different font color based on what I put in those parameters. And this is all it looks like right here. Nothing super fancy, a home, about us, a blog. It's called Fun Bus. Goes into stuff there. Got the sign me up buttons. Yes, form. First name, last name, email, phone number. I don't know. Oh, okay, because it has an autocomplete. And then special instructions and a submit button that really doesn't submit because I wasn't that far enough to actually learn about submitting, making post requests to the back end. So yeah, that's that. Oof. My phone is just blowing up today. Of course, today I decided to do a video and try to cover 2 months of material in my allotted time here. Everyone's blowing it up. All right, and this was the sprint challenge here. So going to the index here, open this up. So yeah, just a little thing here, a home, about us, blog, sign in. I don't think any of these work either. It was just another thing of here's a design file, make it work. I don't know why that's not loading. I must have deleted that one. Or my file path is incorrect. Not something I'm super worried about. No, yeah, window resizer. Made it mobile responsive here. So yep, that's that. That's pretty much what we did for the second week of month 1. Now to the less it's not visually stimulating, I guess is the best way to put it. I don't feel like there's anything, like if I do my live server, I don't feel like there's going to be anything that's going to be super visually stimulating about it. Yeah, so check my work in the console because that's where all JavaScript's done, and so they had different things that we had to go and sort through. Sorting through objects, sorting through arrays, different stuff like that, sorting through specific makes and models, saying the function was invoked, all that stuff. Yeah. So like I said, not visually stimulating. This was more of learning the logic. So like in here, function conversion, they wanted us to go and take this stuff and convert it into ES6, which is using the fat arrow functions and explicit returns and stuff like that that you would learn once it comes through. And then this one right here is our array of items, and then going and using string interpolation to use variables and index numbers to get stuff, using for loops to get stuff, all the stuff that you saw. So sorting through it from A to Z. So let's see, for let I equal 0, I on the inventory length, inventory.length, so length of the 49 cars, because I think it's 50, but it starts at 0 on numbers, so add it and then push it into a new array, yeah, and then sort it, yeah. So I was just pushing all this stuff into it and then sorting the car model sorted. Same thing, going through the car years and pushing car years in there and console logging the car years. Old cars, so this one was doing another, saying if the inventory of index or I, which equals 0, and the car year, which is here as one of the data pieces for it, is less than 2000, then push it to a new array called old cars, oldcars.length, and then it links out all the old cars that are less than 1999 in a new array. And then this one was a sorting function here that just looked for anything that equaled BMW and Audi, BMW and Audi, push inventory I. Then we stringified it, so we had to use JSON.stringify to stringify the objects into the array into a string. So open folder. Let's go to JS2. I don't know what this one was either. So, all right, array methods, callbacks, and closures. Close that one real quick. Spec this one. I'm just gonna make this 900. All right. So yeah, so same thing, just different data. Going through, working with arrays. First name, last name, ID number, length. So I think this one here was, the problem was like, oh, there was runners that went and ordered large shirts, were out of large shirts, find out how many people have larges so we can have them know to order a different size. This was using a function to go and calculate how many donations, calculating the array length, the last item in the array, doing the sum, the product, saying yes or no, I have an item in this array. Another array, I don't know. Then getting into the closures and stuff to show us function scope. So the global scope, and then this function scope, into this function scope, into this function scope, and how this function scope can reach out to this function scope, but this function scope can't reach into this one, yada, yada, yada. So yeah, there's that. So yeah, this is closures. So this is just, oh no, this is callbacks. This is using callback functions to go and do the same thing that we were doing before. So there's the items we had. Then there's the length. This array length is item.length or item length, which is the variable we made with the callback function. Same thing here. Making the function that does the callback, taking the callback and returning it here, and then doing const add equals sum numbers, blah, 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 sum function return the sum is. So it's pretty much taking the sum numbers and the callback and stuff, and now assigning this callback to a variable or parameter of sum. So when I go and do the sum is and say sum, it knows to reference these two numbers plus, and then that sum return the sum of these two numbers, which was 6. Same thing here with the multiply. This one was to make sure item is included, and if it's included, say, hey, I have this item. So right here. So that was the function for it, the callback, using list dot includes item. Now, items contain equals contains pencil. Items function, if true, return I have this item. And then console log items contained. And then the stretch problem, which is remove duplicates. So that was where that was. So and just do 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 instead of 1, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. All right. I think that was JavaScript 2, was it not? So we'll find out, right? Yeah, so this was learning this and prototype methods here that we were doing. So this is using prototypes. This is using this. And I think we actually, yeah, we wound up using this and prototypes to make RPG characters and functions for, oh, excuse me, sorry, for it. So once again, nothing visually stimulating about it at all. It's more of the interesting piece goes into the actual logic of it. So right here, this was learning about inheritance from the prototypes and everything else. So we made function game attributes, took a parameter of attributes. We used this dot created at equals attributes dot created at. This dot name equals attributes dot name. This dot dimensions equals attributes dot dimensions. Game object prototype destroy. So we made a destroy function or a prototype destroy function. That way it could be inherited down. So then it just returns blah, 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 which is removed from the game. Using this stuff here. Then we went and did function character stats. Same thing in attributes. We were calling this and attributes from game objects, adding health points to it, creating a, then inheriting the prototype of destroy from game object, and also making a prototype function for taking damage. Then humanoids, same thing, calling it from here, and since this was inherited all of this, when this inherited it, it'll have the take damage and the destroy, and then a greeting function prototype that only works for humanoid. So just teaching inheritance of prototypes, pretty much. So character stats will only have access to what it's created at, the name, the dimensions, the health points, the destroy function, and the take damage function. But the game objects does not have access to the health points, to the team weapons or language, the greeting function, or the take damage function. Same with character stats. It does not have a greeting function, so I could not invoke, by using character stats, I could not invoke my greet prototype function and have it do that. But this one, since it's inherited all the way down, it can have access to all these functions and attributes that are in here, or this methods. So then you see here, Const, Mage, Boom Boom, Bruce, Mage Guild, all that other stuff, and that's where you saw that. And then this one right here was just using this methods to make functions and stuff like that, and understand how this works. So window binding, implicit binding, new binding, which is making a new object, explicit binding, which is explicitly referring to an object. So my doggo, my other doggo. So instead of it, the dot notation calling to the left, it's calling explicitly to what's in the parentheses. Whereas for new binding, the dot notation for pet name is calling to here. Where's implicit binding? Ah, yes, this dot speaks. So my animal dot bark, where the dot notation or this is actually referencing to my animal, and my animal's name is this and this and this. You'll learn about it if you decide to go to Lambda or any other coding bootcamp. But I just wanted to get a little bit into that. I'm probably not doing the world's greatest job at explaining some of this stuff, but it is what it is. So JavaScript 4, because I didn't go in deep enough. I have to go in here. Yes, so this one we learned how to refactor it. So there's a way of refactoring it into different types of components. And so that's what we did. Same thing here. We just refactored all this stuff in, made objects here, and different things. Made a little bit of funny here. I made a Velma Dinkley one. Made a student here. Who's the student? So that was me, and I think this one is Fez from That 70s Show. Ah, come on, show it. Tell me what you got. There we go. Yes, so this is Fez, age 40. It's in web cohort 19. His favorite subjects are React and Python. He's from Wisconsin. His name is Fez. Previous background is a high school student. He has a prototype that takes on pull request assignments, class, his favorite subject, his sprint challenge, and then he has another proto here of object of speak, which is where he goes and speaks, and it will say, I said good day. Then we did another project manager, and then I did one for the Fonz. He has another one here. So today we are learning about CSS. I receive a perfect score on less. My favorite subjects are less, JavaScript, and React. Fez has submitted a pull request for JavaScript 1. I have began the sprint challenge on Sprint Challenge Java. Blah, 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 announces to blah, blah, blah. Hey, study time. The Fonz debugs Fez's code on JavaScript 3. Fonz is saying, hey. Fez's greeting, hello, my name is Fez. I'm from Wisconsin. So yeah, that's that. And we'll show what the code looks like. So this is the refactoring of it in here. So it's the same thing, but now we make it a class, and using class constructors, which was a lot easier to write out and do inheritance on prototypes than before. We had a lot less stuff. So we said class character stats extends or inherits from game objects. The constructor's attributes, it takes the super of the attributes, which are all these here, and then gets added this dot health points equal that. And then notice that because this extends from here and the constructor and the super attributes takes all of this, I didn't have to do that extra call to go and inherit the destroy function. It's automatically inherited by extending it into the game object and using the super attributes. Oh, well, it's because of extended, it's able to. Super attributes lets me go and add this to it. I guess is the better way of going and doing it. And then it just does the same thing that you saw in the last one. It's just now using the class inheritance and prototyping instead of the regular prototyping. So just an easier way. So they start you off with a hard old way of doing it, so you better understand and appreciate the simple and easier way of doing things. And trust me, this stuff's a godsend. A lot of the stuff that you learn, it makes it so much easier. All right, get into here. All righty, so let's see. So yeah, objects array, prototypes, classes, and functions. Failed to, okay, whatever. I'm not worried about it. So some of this stuff's probably going to be messed up from what it's saying in my warning there. So yeah, made a dinosaur, Tyrannosaurus Rex, his period, his length, his diet, his weight. He has a roar function where he just goes and says, roar. Yeah, so then a Stegosaurus object. Then I think this is a Velociraptor object. Yep, Velociraptor. The weight of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, the diet, the length of Stegosaurus, a period, I think, for the Velociraptor, right? That's, or it could be the T-Rex, both of them were in the late Cretaceous period. And then the function, and then doing some array stuff, which is array sorting methods and all sorts of different stuff like that. Then some callback functions, some global scope, making sure that we understand closures and stuff, and then some more stuff here. It's kind of hard to tell what it is without actually looking at the code here, but we are going to look into the code. Yeah, so this is a cuboid maker. That's what it was. So I had to do it in prototypes, which was the old way, but I had to comment it out. And then this is my functions here for my stuff, and this was my array methods. So doing pushes and for each loops and sorts, filters and includes. Then this is the same thing for a zoo animal array, mapping it, changing it to lowercase, filtering it, popping it in, reducing it, using different types of functions to do different things. I'm not trying to get into the super technical aspects of it. Then right here, higher order function, callback functions, different stuff like that. And then this is just making from here the prototype into a class constructor, and then using that stuff to make the cuboid. Alrighty, and now we are about to get into React. But I think that this video has gone on long enough in reality, if I'm being honest here. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go and call it for right now. And the next video that I do, I will wind up going and getting into React, which is month 2, which I just got finished doing. And then my ultimate goal and aim here is to go and eventually do this on a weekly basis. So instead of me having to give you a whole month recap like I am right now, it's super long, super dry, super boring. A Saturday or a Sunday, I'll record a video, hopefully have it uploaded by Monday, and recap the week. So going by that, let's see here, going by that, the next video after I do the web applications 1, where we do the React, will be web applications 2, advanced React is what we'll do. So we'll go through all the projects I did through the week on advanced React, which was the class components, the life cycle, the non-visual behaviors, the testing web applications, and then the sprint challenge that I did. That'll be my 3rd video. So if you like the video, if you want to see more content, you know what to do. Subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment. Tell me, am I doing well? Okay, what can I improve on? I'm here to go and try to expose Lambda and my journey, because I really wholeheartedly believe in what they do in the school, and I just want to get out there more and expose Lambda and what I've learned and stuff of that nature. And eventually, once I get further along, I might do some how-tos and tutorials. But for right now, this is a complete series on my Lambda journey. I just want to do a video vlog of my Lambda journey, of my time here, and what I want to show you how I've incrementally got better and how more advanced I've got, and the depth of stuff they teach on my track of full stack web development. With that said, full stack web development or web dev journey is out. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I'm looking forward to providing y'all with more video and content. And like I said, smash that like and subscribe button if you enjoy what I'm doing here.